What's up, adventurers? My name is Zariel of Wildmire, and today we are going to talk about how to play Always the Quest. Whether you're a seasoned Amtgard veteran or a newcomer ready to embark on new adventures, this guide is going to show you how to add a splash of roleplay into your Amtgard experience. So, what is Always the Quest? Always the Quest is basically a post-by-play version of your favorite RPGs, like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, where you post something that you want to do, and I, as the map keeper, will tell you what happens after that. There are lots of things you can do in Always the Quest if you want to make your own enchantments or new magic items, or if you're just looking for a really good story, this is the place you're going to find it. First up, let's talk about actions. Actions are a way for you to interact with the questing world that takes place over the course of 1 week. From exploring uncharted territories to gathering resources or leading an attack, there's a lot you can do. So here's a few examples. Under hashtag action log, you can say that you would like to explore. For example, scout a new area and uncover its secrets. What does it produce? What lives there? Who's watching you? Another action you can do is gather. Let's say you've already explored a territory and you know that grain is on it or you know that stone's on it. You can take the gather action to gather those resources. Another one you can take is the build action. The build action helps you build something like your own house or a library or a place to make potions or even an inn. And all of these different buildings have different mechanics behind them that can help you out in a battle game. The last couple actions you can take is an attack or a quest action. An attack action, for example, if you see a goblin camp a few squares over and you want to attack that camp, then you would say, I see the goblin camp and I want to take an action to go and attack it. And then it happens. A quest action is unique in that if you want to gain the items from a quest that day, you can. Anyone can participate in the quest, but in order to get stuff from that quest, you have to take a specific quest action. Another action you can take is changing classes. So when you first start out, and we'll get to starting in just a sec, but when you first start out, you have your own class. You can play any class that you want, but you'll always have one main class in Always the Quest. In order to change classes, you would go under hashtag action log and go, I want to change my class to blah, 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 wizard, druid, or whatever. 1 week later, you now gain the benefits from that class. Every class comes with its own set of benefits, which is why it's sometimes beneficial to change classes in-game. Now that we've changed classes, let's talk about what we can do after we've gathered our resources. What kind of resources are there? In Always the Quest, there's 5 different types of resources. There's gold, timber, stone, grain, or food, and iron. Gold is just a general currency and can be traded out in a 2-to-1 ratio, meaning it costs 2 gold to produce whatever resource you want to get. So you turn in 2 gold to get 1 timber. Gold is obviously good for buying magic items if you were to find some type of store or trading with other players. Ways you can get gold is by looting monsters during quests. You can sometimes find gold on the ground, or if you happen to raid a boss cave, you can also get gold that way. The other resource you can find is timber, which is just a basic form of a building material, and you can find timber pretty much all over the place. The next one is stone, which is another form of building material, but can also help build siege weapons like cannons. The next one would be grain. So grain is unique in for you, the player, grain can be used once per questing week to half your life count in a battle game, or add +1 to your life pool if it's a different type of battle game. Grain is just sort of ubiquitous. It's also a name for like food. So if you catch fish, it would turn into 1 grain. Grain is just food for the purposes of resources and mechanics. And the last thing we have is iron. which is just a basic building material, but as a player, you can use 1 iron that you've collected to give yourself 1 enchantment of Harden at once per refresh. Now that we've talked about resources and actions, let's talk about the Discord server. So, if you go over to our Wildmire Discord server, you're going to scroll all the way down on the left-hand side until you see Always the Quest. The first hashtag under Always the Quest is the rules of play. There's 3 different documents that are PDFs here that you can read on. The first one is the Mapkeeper's document. Think of this as like the DM's guide or the Game Master's guide. This is my sort of guide on how things would play out during the game and are not really important to the player. The next one you're going to see is starting out. Under the starting guide, this is going to tell you how to set up your what you need to gather to make your starting player and what different types of lands would start as, such as a barony or a shire. Since Wildmire is a shire, we start off with 2 towers within the town of Wildmire, or the Shire of Wildmire. Under that, we have the hashtag map. This is where you're going to find the most current map of Wildmire, and it's subject to change. So as you can see when you pull up the map, a lot of the map is sort of a fog of war. Anytime a player explores any part of the map, you will see where that player is and maybe what resources that it's found. So the more you guys explore the map, the more this fog is going to go away. Under map, you're going to have the hashtag action log. This is the main place where you're going to post what actions you want to take under this hashtag action log, like the actions we described earlier. Under action log, you're going to find hashtag lore. This is just general lore about the entire realm of Wildmire. It's not necessarily specific to any one character. These are just good things to know or stuff that's going on within the town of Wildmire. So, for example, if someone ends up building an inn or a house, or there's something important going on in the world, this is where you're going to find that. Under hashtag lore is going to be the hashtag commodities. Commodities is where you're going to find what specific buildings that are interesting to you or to us is going to be there. So some places are going to have, for example, Belial Peaks has a library. This is where you're going to find, like, how do I know what stuff is in the town of Wildmire? That's where you're going to find the stuff. If there's a shop in Wildmire, this is where you can find out if there is one. If there's someone trading items from a different town that's come to Wildmire, this is also where you're going to find that. Under hashtag commodities, this is going to be a forum style called character lore. This is where you're going to make your character and give a short description of your character. So for mine, I put Zerial the Strange as the title, and under that, it's a short description of my beginning lore. Under that, you're going to put your current class that you're playing, and as an option under that, you'll put what resources you have. This is for lack of a better word, this is your player sheet or your player character sheet. This is where you're going to keep track of all of your resources, how much gold, how much timber you have. This is anytime I reply or the map keeper replies to action log, under your action log, this is where you're going to put stuff that happens so that we can track everything. It is up to the player to keep track of their own resources because the map keeper is already doing 10,000 things. So it's the responsibility of the player to keep track of their own resources. For the sake of keeping everything together, I would suggest keeping it under your character lore just so everything's in one place. If you have a piece of paper or something you want to keep at home and track it that way, that's also an option too. Under character lore is another forum style called questions. So if you have any, like, want to clarify questions, or if you don't know how to do something, or if you want to know if there's something that you want to do but you're not quite you don't know how to go about it, this is also another great place to post what questions you have. Under questions is going to be NPCs. So this is just a general place where anyone who's found an NPC, this is where you're going to find their name, a little bit of lore about them, if you want to be able to find them later. Under NPCs, you'll find the quest board. So the quest board is just a place where you can find all of the quests. Think of it as like a bulletin board in D&D where you can find all the quests that are available. For right now, there's only 3 quests that are up at the timing of this video. One is the main quest, which is marked with a blue star in the top left-hand corner. This is the main storyline or the main quest, probably for the rain. So anytime there's a new rain, there might be a new quest or new storyline. There's 2 other sort of side quests in there as well, and those are marked with a green star. A lot like Skyrim, where you have side quests and then main quests. That doesn't mean you can't pick up more quests. It just means that these are the only ones that are available for now, and it'll be able to scale once people start exploring or start completing quests. Just like in Amtgard, there's different classes with class abilities. There's also different abilities for the different classes in Always the Quest as well. So, for example, one of the classes, just like Amtgard, is Scout. So one of the abilities that a Scout gets in Always the Quest is the Wayfinder ability, meaning Scouts can explore per action a number of spaces equal to their class level as long as each space connects the previous one in the and explored in some way. Meaning if I'm a level 6 Scout, I can explore 6 tiles. It's great for exploring, but even if I find resources, it's still going to take me another action. At base, it takes 1 action to explore a tile, another action to harvest that. Level 6 wizard is the magus. So a wizard reaching 6th level has many accords and may dealings with those beyond the veil of the mortal world. He can call upon these allies to perform actions for him. In addition to his normal action as a wizard, you can summon a phantom workforce. This workforce is essentially a phantom player in all respects, save that it cannot initiate quest actions and has no class. It can take any action that a player could take so long as it does not require a skill check or a class ability. So what does that mean? So you as a wizard, maybe you go out and explore and you find timber. So for free, you could harvest that timber with those workforce. There are multiple different abilities for each class, and the video would just be too long if I went through all of them, so I encourage you to go look through them, see what you can do. One of the other important abilities that I will bring up is Healer. At level 3, you can use the Resurrection Ritual. A healer may choose to use a non-quest action to return a shattered player or character to life before their death cooldown has ended. So what does that mean? In Always the Quest, it is possible to die. There are some quests where you only get 1 life, and if you lose that 1 life, you don't get to take another action for the next week. So there is some things that are at stake. But let's say you do die, and you have a healer in Always the Quest. That healer can resurrect you so that you can be able to take an action that week. So, getting started. If we're reading the Always the Quest rules, here's your things that you get started with. Each player begins with the following. You'll start with 5 gold and 1 trinket of your choice from the Amtgard core rules. You're going to go down into the Discord. You're going to go into character lore. You're going to create a new forum, and you're going to put your name in the title of that forum. And in the description, you're going to put a small description of who your character is and a little bit of lore behind them. I would advise that also in that, this is where you put your gold, and this is where you put the trinkets that you've picked. This is also where you're going to put whatever current class that you're playing. Like I said before, this is basically your character sheet. Once you have your character up in character lore, then you can go into the #action log and take whatever action you want to take for this week. Actions are based on a 1-week period, and at least for right now, they are Monday through Sunday. So you have 7 days out of the week, and then once Monday morning hits, it's the start of a new week. That's always the quest in a nutshell. Whether you're building a castle, leading armies, or solving riddles, there really is something for everyone. So talk to your map keeper, get in that action log, and I'll see you on the field.